Happy Halloween, guys. Today I'm finally going to do my Halloween worst to best video. Um, Halloween has been a band that I've loved for years. However, I was really stuck on the Kai Hansen slash Michael Kiske era. Well, really more of the Kai Hansen era, the first three albums. But I finally come out of that shell because I'm a huge Gamma Ray fan. I came out of that shell and I bought all the 90s Halloween albums a few years ago. I actually liked them pretty well. Still being the bigger Gamma Ray fan, I like the 90s Halloween albums. And just recently, as in like the past month, I bought all the 2000s Halloween albums that I didn't have, which was most of them. And I was pleasantly surprised. I really do like the 2000s albums a lot. I think they surpassed Gamma Ray in the 2000s, but the 90s, totally think Gamma Ray absolutely came out victorious in that. But um, now I've got to listen to every Halloween album. I've heard them all the way through several times. And even though sometimes when you listen to something over the span of years, your opinion will change even more and kind of shift. But given this only being about a little less than a month of listening, I've come to a conclusion on how to rank these things. So I'm going to start out with my least favorite. Easily had to choose Chameleon. And it's probably not a surprise. It's for very obvious reasons. While I don't always mind when a band tries to do a rock album or something, but it has to be good. And unfortunately, I don't really like it. A lot of the songs here. I like the first track starts off okay, then it goes downhill quick from there. Just a lot of experimental stuff. Just songs that aren't very entertaining to me. I don't know. I just don't connect with this one much at all. But that's that. Next, I really wanted to like this, and I remember when it came out, Keeper of the Seven Keys, The Legacy, or technically like a part three, I guess. I don't know. I remember when it came out, and I remember thinking, wow, they did another Keeper of the Seven Keys. I was intrigued, but I also heard it. Some people say it wasn't that good. I kind of have to agree. It's not that it's bad. It's light years above Chameleon. Like I can listen to this album from beginning to end, and the only problem is I feel like the songs just go in one ear and out the other. This might be something that it might be a grower. Maybe if I listen to this for a year or two, I might eventually really like it. But right now, I find it one of the least interesting, and being something that's like a part three to like their classic albums is, I don't know. I'm just not seeing it. Like I'm just not seeing the I don't know. I'll keep listening, but right now it just didn't. It did the least for me. Just the melodies and stuff just went one ear out the other. This one, guys, Master of the Rings. Okay, this one I have a weird relationship with ever since I bought this, like what, 3 or 4 years ago. I love the first half of this album. While it's not like your total, classic Halloween album, like you got a little bit of that Keeper of the Seven Keys sound, a little just kind of scaled back, not as big and epic, but some of the good melodies are there. And some of this even goes as far as being rock to me, but I like it. Like this is what Chameleon should have been. Um, the only problem is after the first tracks, I think the second half of the album is just okay for the most part. That's just me. Maybe I'll change more through the years, but if the whole thing was as good as the first five tracks, to me, I would love this. But so that's only down lower just because it's kind of a 50-50 one. Next, Seven Sinners. Helloween going a little bit modern. It's a cool change. It's a really solid album. I I enjoy it. However, I don't find it one of the most entertaining of all the Helloween albums. It's good. It's very good. It doesn't go in one ear and out the other. It just doesn't grab my attention as hard as some other Helloween albums, but it is very solid. I like it. Next, now I wanted to put this a little higher. There's some songs on here that I really like. It kicks off with Nebo Amazing. Honestly, one of my favorite Helloween songs, probably with Andy Darris, and so Straight Out of Hell. Um, it's very straight, typical power metal Helloween, like pretty much all it is. There's nothing really about it that really stands out in particular. It's just another good, solid album. And I happen to like the direction of this a little more than Seven Sinners. But, this is one of those albums where there's a lot of good songs, but a lot of songs that don't put me over the top. Kind of like Seven Sinners. But yeah. Uh, Still a really, really, really good album, and I do like it a lot. Next, Gambling with the Devil is a surprising one. Um, Again, I kind of wish I could have put this a little higher. Maybe years later I will put it higher, but right now I really like it a lot. But there's still some classics that are just ahead of it for me. I do like the intensity of some of the songs. I do like some of the darker vibes of the songs. Um, Otherwise, I hear a lot of typical 2000s Helloween, or even a little bit of the 90s Helloween is in there a little bit. Um, I don't know, just a good strong album, an interesting one. But like I said, there's still some ahead that I like a little bit more. Surprisingly, my God-given right, I don't know what it is. This one hooked me a little harder than most of the 2000s Helloween albums, and I don't know why. It's just pleasant. It's got like a feel good type of attitude, like fun attitude to it. I really just enjoy on a nice sunny day listening to this. Really good songwriting. I love the production. For a modern production, it's done right. Like it sounds good. Um, and I like everything on it too. So I don't know. I've heard some people say this is good, but nothing exciting. I could see that. Kind of true. I just find it thoroughly enjoyable. Next, Rabbit Don't Come Out Easy. Yes, I always say that wrong on purpose. I used to actually think that's what it was said. He's pulling a rabbit out of a hat. I don't know. But this album surprisingly gets, people seem to like it, but I get some subpar views out of this, out of people, like good, but not as good as previous albums. I actually think this album is very memorable. Um, but I kind of understand what people are saying, but I actually really, really like this one. I think songs like Just a Little Sign and Never Be a Star, I've always really liked for some reason. I don't know. I just think the whole thing, for the most part, is very good. There's some very strong songs. There's a couple that go over my head, but the strong songs are really, really strong to me. So, next, The Time of the Oath. I remember back when I was first getting into Helloween, and I got the classic first three albums, and then I remember buying this, and I wasn't feeling it for some reason. I thought it was good. It just didn't like thoroughly excite me because it didn't, big shock not having Michael Kiske on it, and I can definitely tell the lack of Kai Hansen on it. But the truth is, though, it's a very, very good album. It's been years, and I rebought it, and you know what? It's really good. It doesn't sound totally like old school Helloween, but it definitely is more of a return to form from like Master of the Rings and Chameleon by far. So it's definitely a power metal album, a very good power metal album. Um, I don't know. I just really enjoy it. There's like every song's pretty good on it, in my opinion. So Yeah, there's that. Next, Pink Bubbles Go Ape. Um, I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression me talking about this album and like past videos. I actually don't think it's bad or even really weak. It's just an odd direction from Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 2. Like it's definitely no Keeper of the Seven Keys whatsoever, but it's still very good. It's still got some elements of those albums here and there. It's still power metal. Sometimes it's a little hard rock and just heavy metal, but you know what? It's the songs are very memorable. I'll give it that. The songs are good. They're just not as incredible as what came before. But I kind of like I didn't used to like comedy much or like I didn't like my music really to be silly or funny that much. I don't know why. I was always kind of more of a serious metalhead, but I've come to loosen up, and this album's just really, really fun. It will put you in a good mood. So, yeah, Pink Bubbles Go 8. Actually, a pretty good album. Um, Better Than Raw. You know, a lot of people really seem to like this one, and I get it. I get it. I've kind of paid a little more of attention to this album than I used to, and yeah, it is really, really good. So many great songs on it. It's kind of like Time of the Oath, but just kind of like a step further. Like they just kind of built on that and made something even better than that. Um, Definitely a lot of speed metal on here. Definitely a true power metal album in every sense of the word. Good songwriting. I really like it. So very, very cool. Next, you know what? A lot of people even maybe call this their favorite Helloween album, The Dark Ride. You know, I remember back in the early 2000s, I remember going to Best Buy. It's an electronics store, if you don't know. Back when they used to sell CDs, I remember seeing it there and wanted to buy it so bad. I didn't know a whole lot about Helloween. I just thought it kind of looked cool, but I should have bought it. But anyway, I eventually got it way later, and it's very good. And it's funny because there's really nothing hardly any, you know, it's not that dark really. Maybe dark for Helloween, but it's not that dark with maybe a couple of songs, but I don't know. It's very, very, very strong. I kind of feel like they took all their 90s material and finally like really honed it in. Like they really got it together. You know, there's no Kai Hansen. You know, they really got it together on this one. And they kind of did on Better Than Raw too, but I think this one just stepped it up even more. Very impressive album. Um, can't go wrong with it. I get why people like it so much. Next, you know what? The self-titled Helloween. This is the album that got me excited about Helloween again. Um, you know, of course, we got what's really cool about this album though. I had to get it because Kai Hansen was back on it, Michael Kiske was back on it, and if anything, it's actually a culmination of everything Helloween has ever kind of been in one album. You know, you've actually got like three vocalists on it, as far as I know. You got Michael Kiske, Andy Darris, and even Kai does some little parts here. Very cool. That alone made me want to buy this. And when I heard it and thought, you know, realized how good it was, like it wasn't just a comeback album. This was a really, really strong comeback album. I mean, I couldn't believe like how much I like it. And you know what? I really got high up on the list because it really is that good. It's not just some kind of hype, you know, it really is that good to me. It really feels like Keeper of the Seven Keys at times. But then again, it has all the best moments of all the 90s and 2000s Helloween albums. Fantastic album. Great songwriting. It's produced really well. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. And after I bought that, it caused me to buy all the 90s and 2000s Helloween albums. Okay, now we're kind of like, oh, you probably know where it's going from here. But you know what? Keeper Part 1, it is a classic. It's just a classic. Um, you've got Kai on here. This is, uh, you've got the whole gang on here in their original form. It's so great. This is one of those albums that kind of really where power metal really started. You know what I mean? And it's not just because of that makes it good. It's just good. My only problem is it's just too short. And I don't even know how long it actually is. Maybe it's longer than I think it is because of the last track, being like 13 minutes, the Helloween, the song. It just feels like it feels like the thing's like 20 minutes long. Maybe it's because it's just so good. I don't know. But if it were longer, this thing would be probably first, maybe. But unfortunately, it's not. But the good thing about that is it leaves you wanting more. Therefore, uh, you don't really get bored anywhere on this album. So, yeah, very, very classic in my opinion. Next, some people might disagree with me here, depending on your preferred genres of heavy metal, but Walls of Jericho definitely has to be my second favorite. It's one of a kind in their collection, and I love how raw it is. I love the speed metal. This is just Helloween before they really figured themselves out, and it's just an interesting. Just the it's so legit. It's so genuine, like it's just young guys getting together, playing some heavy metal, trying to figure themselves out. And that's what makes it so fun. The songs are very fast. You can still hear a little bit of that happiness from like future albums, starting to show up, but it's very, very heavy. I would say it's their heaviest album, and Kai Hansen's vocals are very cool. I like it on here. I've always liked his voice. It's an odd voice, but I like it. But yeah, I love that album. And first, I have to give it to Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 2. Not only does it pick up where Part 1 leaves off, but it builds on it in a lot of ways. And this album, and it's longer, so this one feels more complete. So that gives it some extra points for that. I don't know. I like how there's some comedy on here. There's some experimental things on here, sort of like Dr. Steen is unlike anything they've done before. But you got some fantastic power metal songs. Eagle Fly Free, You Always Walk Alone. Rise and Fall's kind of a goofy one too, but I like it. But Save Us is one of my top favorites. I Want Out. And then you've got a really, really good epic that pretty much matches Helloween, Keeper of the Seven Keys, the song. So, yeah. So this album is just, again, it's the classic lineup, just doing what they do best in the most genuine, original form. And I feel like their whole career is pretty much based off of what they started with these first, really with the Keeper albums, really. So I don't know. And this was the first one I ever bought to by Helloween. So it's also special to me for that. So there we go, guys. Helloween, a band that took me way too long to completely collect everything. A band that I've neglected for way too long. I really should have never have done that because I missed out. But the cool thing is it did give me something later to check out and, something new to collect. So whatever. So if you like this video, like, subscribe. I think I'm going to do might do some more Helloween themed albums. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching. Stay metal. Till next time. See ya.